Hi everybody, this is Brendan from LemPlates, and in this video I want to walk you through some of the common mistakes that teams make when using Heflo. These aren't tool flaws, they are usage mistakes that quietly reduce adoption and clarity. The first mistake usually starts with BPM symbols. I'll show you an example. That's all the symbols we have over here. There's quite a large palette available. It's filled with events, tasks, gateways, flows, and even advanced symbols. You can add tasks there, add documents, even data input. You can even change the layout of the actual process itself. Airflow gives you a full toolbox, which is powerful, but also dangerous for new teams. The mistake is assuming that more symbols equals better modeling, when in fact all it does is it creates confusion if you do not understand them. Not very every element is really needed, especially in the beginning. And most real processes use very few symbols. Teams like to often use gateways, events, and parallel flows before they fully understand them. This results in diagrams that look correct, but actually feel hard to read. The second mistake is underestimating the learning curve. BPMN looks simple, but it's still a notation system that needs to be fully understood. In reality, you're actually learning a new language. Each symbol has got a different meaning, and your connections have rules. That's why many teams expect to open Airflow and model perfectly on day one, when in fact that doesn't happen. Frustration can build. The tool didn't fail in this case, but expectations were just unrealistic. Airflow works best when teams accept a short learning phase instead of just rushing in. The third mistake is creating modeling overhead too early. I'll show you on this example. Here's a process that I got from the templates. What this looks like is when people are trying to model every single exception. Also, when you're trying to capture edge cases, that is cases that is just on the verge of complying with your SOP, or even over documenting rare scenarios. So instead of modeling the normal path, teams try to model everything or every possible scenario. This can slow momentum. For simple processes, the time spent modeling can outweigh the value gained. Airflow shines when processes justify structure, not when structure becomes the actual goal. And this leads us to the fourth mistake, using Airflow for the wrong audience. Airflow can actually be challenging for very small teams, or teams without process ownership, and finally people who prefer instructions over diagrams. If someone just wants to know, what do I do next? Then BPMN processes can feel like extra work. That doesn't mean Heflo is wrong, it just means that the context matters. For context, this is how we do this in LemPlates, which is the tool we use ourselves. Plates approaches this problem differently. Instead of starting with notation, LemPlates actually starts with clarity. There's a couple of key contrast points. I'll go into my template and show. Let's run this one. LemPlates has got a text-first structure. There are fewer rules to learn and faster initial adoption. For teams that struggle with BPMN learning curves, this lowers friction. It's not about modeling correctness, it's about usable understanding. That's why some teams adopt faster with simpler structures. The real takeaway is this: Heflo works extremely well when processes are shared, ownership is clear, and teams commit to learning BPMN. But problems can arise when teams expect instant clarity without structure. If you want to see this approach in full, LemPlates is linked below.